What's happening, folks? Friday afternoon, AnyForty live stream number 10. Who would have thought it 5 weeks ago, eh? 10 of these bad boys. Plenty more to come as well. So we're going to be chatting to Mr. Ash Willerton, who is in Newcastle. And let's get him on board now. Yes, Mr. Willerton.
Hey, man.
You've got quarantine hair.
We were about the same length for a moment. We must have synchronized our previous cuts.
I know, I was going to say. Fuck, mate, how are you doing? Long time.
I'm good, man. How are you?
Yeah, I'm alright, man. Feeling a bit of the repetition of everything today. I think
Yeah.
it's a Friday night, isn't it? And it should really, like, we know each other in physical real life, and we should really be getting excited to go to the pub, meet friends, but instead we're here. Digital representations of ourselves, chatting.
One day we might be able to do that again now.
Hey, imagine
Until then, like, we drink tea on Friday nights now.
Massive teas.
Cheers, man.
Cheers to you. Let's just drink tea for 59 minutes.
That cup, man. I love that cup.
Mate, it's a monster cup. It's better than
so unnecessary.
Nah. Right, mate. Well, we've got some people jumping on board already. I've been doing some studying on live streams, and a lot of people tend to spend about 10 minutes waiting for people to get on board, but we don't do that here. We jump straight into it. If anyone misses it, they can watch it on YouTube. So let's go. I've known you for, I think you walked into my life 5 years ago.
When did I meet you? 5 years? Yeah.
Yeah, I can tell you exactly when.
It was 2015, yeah?
Yeah, 2015. It was with our good friend Naomi. She opened a shop up in Newcastle called Who's It and What's It, which was absolutely brilliant. And she was
best shop in Newcastle.
Best shop in Newcastle, hands down. Can't think of any better ones.
Yeah, it's sad that it's no longer there.
Yeah, but it was brilliant, and it was it brought a lot of people together. It brought you into Naomi's life. It brought me into Naomi's life. It brought James, her husband, into Naomi's life. So,
well, yeah, that's the cool thing, because obviously our friend group now is all because of Who's It and What's It. Like, all of my close friends are because of that shop.
It is. It's mad, isn't it?
Yeah.
So that was when I first saw your work. Obviously, I've been doing AnyForty for probably 7 years before that, 6 or 7 years. And I was always looking out for kind of new talent that I could work with. And I wasn't really used to seeing it in Newcastle. I knew the Dirty Hands Core boys like Mark and Ryan. And then I saw your work in the shop, and I was like, something interesting about this guy. So I chatted to Naomi. I was like, oh, who's done this work? And she was like, oh, Ashley Wilson. And I was like, oh, I wonder who this girl is.
Yeah.
And then
I remember you saying that.
And then we met, connected. We did a couple of collaborations. But let's rewind it way back. So at the time that we met,
there she is, Naomi.
There she is with the yellow-handed waves, Simpsons waves. She's missed the bit where we're talking about her, so she'll have to watch that.
James was tuned in. He would have heard it.
Right.
We were saying nice things, Naomi.
No more, though. 55 minutes of horrible things coming up. So, at the time I met you, I think you were pushing... I don't know if you were doing so much sign writing, but you were definitely pushing the kind of the commercial type side of things, weren't you?
Well, not commercial, because I wasn't selling it.
Yeah.
I was doing lettering. So, like, the reason I had my stuff in the shop was because I just quit my job as a web designer.
That's it.
And I'd set myself a period of 2 months where I could afford to live and not earn much money. And I was living on the coast with my friend, and we had quite cheap rent. So I thought, I've got enough saved to get me by. And in that 2 months' time, my objective was to produce as much lettering material as possible to like make people aware that this is like what I was wanting to do, and to really fine tune like my own skill set, because I hadn't done loads of it before.
No, this is the crazy thing. That's kind of what blew me away when we first spoke to each other. So it was, at the time, I thought, oh, he's a guy that's doing custom type. He's probably been doing it for a long time and kind of struggling to break through. But you, like you said, you were brand new. You were brand new in the game, and you'd
Yeah.
Like, just tell people how you got onto there, because it's a crazy journey. So you were working at the time as a web designer, which you'd also didn't start off as a web designer, though, did you?
No. How far back do I go to really make any sense of it? It's like I studied marketing at uni, which most people are surprised at, because when you have a career in the arts, it's normally typical that you studied an art-based degree.
Yeah.
So that is like that's a weird one to explain. And then it was during uni that I saw what my friend was doing down in London. He was posting his work a lot.
Yeah.
I don't know on what social media platform at the time. It definitely wasn't Instagram.
Just drawing it on rocks.
You are?
Just drawing it on rocks.
Well, it was on MySpace.
Yeah.
Because you could upload. People were uploading images to their profile pictures just to show stuff. It wasn't like having your face or anything. It was just like, this is what I do.
Aye.
So he was studying graphic design. It's his name is Rich Lyons. I don't know if I think Richie's in the States now. So if you are there, Rich, hey mate. So I was noticing what he was doing, and he was studying graphic design down in London.
Yeah.
And it was like that light bulb moment of like, this is it. This is what I want to be doing. And I was pushing that in all of my marketing work at uni. Like, I was just trying to do as much design stuff as possible.
Yeah.
Just because I knew that if I was ever going to end up doing it, I had to sort of make a start myself, because my course wasn't doing that for me.
Aye.
And I either quit my course and started again, which I didn't want to do. So I thought, I'll get my course. I'll do as much design work for people as possible on the side, and just keep my hand in, and then eventually it'll happen. Like I just put it into the distant future, and thought, like, I'll work on this, and it will happen eventually. And came out of uni, got my degree in marketing, and then I was lucky to get a position at a digital agency in Newcastle as a marketing assistant.
Yeah.
But during that interview, like, the only thing I talked about, I took my design portfolio in. I didn't talk about marketing at all. I was just mega keen on showing him that I could be a designer, like, if that position ever came up.
Yeah.
And he laughed after the interview, and he was like, well, that wasn't really an interview for this job, but thanks for showing me your portfolio. And I went away thinking, fuck, like, I've totally blown that. And fortunately, the guy who interviewed me is just mega interested in design, and saw that passion, and gave me a chance as a marketing assistant. And I pretty much just showed him in the first year that wasn't what I was able to do or capable of doing. And because it just felt like I was just bluffing it the whole time, and I didn't really know what I was. A marketing assistant just felt like too grown up of a role. Like, it just didn't feel like it. It just didn't feel like it was me. Like, turning up to work in a suit and tie, and like going through statistics with people, and I was just like, this isn't it. So I thought I need to sort of move away from this as quickly as possible. Otherwise, it's gonna be so hard further down the line. And then I got a mega lucky chance when their web designer got a new job. It was a very small agency, so there was one web designer with a team of like 4 developers.
Yeah.
And he left. My boss knew I was mega interested in design. They needed someone to fill that spot like immediately to just cover him. And he was like, this is going to sound daft. I know you have no web design experience. I had no web design experience at all. I didn't have any design experience. And he said, I'm going to get you a MacBook. I'm going to point you in the direction of some really good web design blogs. Smashing Magazine, he told me about. And I was just on my way. And then all of a sudden, like overnight, I was a junior web designer.
And what year was this?
That was probably 2011.
Yeah.
2010, 11.
Mad.
I moved to Newcastle in 2008, and I was a temp for the NHS for a year, a marketing assistant for a year, and then I was a web designer out of thin air.
So as part of this journey, obviously, you knew deep down you wanted to do a creative job, and you got yourself into the game as a junior web designer with no experience and no qualifications. And then I guess you kind of, where the fuck did sign writing and custom type into the mix from that?
Because of web design, because like Smashing Magazine was my doorway into all of the other amazing design blogs. I'd never been on a design blog before Smashing Magazine. Like that was it just wasn't what I did. I didn't I didn't really use the internet like that much. So Smashing Magazine opened me up to that world. And then I started subscribing to Graphic Magazine, which is no longer in publication, I don't think.
Nice.
That was like £12 a magazine. But it was amazing. And it sort of gave me some validation. Where, like, it was psychological. Like, if I subscribed to these magazines with really amazing design work in, like, I'm doing my bit, I'm doing my research, and I'm feeling like I'm a part of it.
Yeah.
And I knew about Graphic when I was at uni, and I thought, right, now's the time to sort of immerse myself into this world. And it was on one of the blogs. I can't remember which one. What Creative Block, maybe? Is it?
Yeah. Well, the Future Publishing one, Creative Block.
Yeah. Did you do any work online when you were?
Nah, it was. I don't even think. I think I'd left by then, mate. I left like end of 2010. So I was on my little AnyForty journey to Manchester by then. But yeah, I know it well, and it's another one of my daily bookmarks, I guess, or it was for inspiration.
So yeah, Creative Block wasn't just about graphic. It wasn't just about web design like Smashing Magazine was. So while I was a web designer, I was like sort of absorbing all of the other like really interesting disciplines in design. And it was making me realize that web design wasn't perhaps the thing that I was mega passionate about. And it was more traditional, like graphic design.
Yeah.
And specifically type-led graphic design, but really put an emphasis on lettering.
Yeah.
And I was looking at loads of stuff at the time, and then I came across an article that featured Jessica Hish.
Oh yeah, legends.
Yeah, and again, it was one of those light bulb moments of like, this is just totally it was just totally new to me, like the fact that she was creating all of the letter forms by hand. She wasn't using different fonts. She wasn't having to scroll through different fonts and manipulate the fonts to get them into the shapes and positions she wanted. Like, she was in control of lettering, she was in control of design, lettering, color, layout. It was all like down to her, and it was all from sketching. It all was born out of sketching. It didn't feel so mechanical of moving things around on a screen. So that's what like sort of made me interested in delving into it a little bit more and figuring out what she was. It was like figuring out what she was doing.
Yeah.
Because I was like, where do you even start with this? Like, how do you get from a point of being interested in letters to doing what she was doing? Like, and
even knowing that there's like a career that you can have in that, you can earn money. People are going to pay you to do stuff.
It was mind blowing, because that's all she was doing.
Yeah.
She was doing book jackets. She was doing adverts for Nike. She was doing magazine covers, and all like really, really beautiful stuff. Yeah. And it just massively caught my imagination. And I was like, well, this is something I at least want to try. Like, because I come from a family that's always drawn, and like, my sister's an amazing artist. My mum has always encouraged us both to be very hands-on with craft, and there's never been a time when I've not done some form of creative activity like in my life. I've always been interested in doing something like that.
That's what I was going to ask. Especially if you said like you've gone into the game as a marketing graduate. I was kind of going to say you've had to, like, your skill set in how quickly you've progressed. You had to have had a childhood where you were doing creative shit when you were drawing and doing stuff.
Yeah. So I have like, it's not like totally out of nowhere. I've had a foundation of being artistic.
Aye.
And understanding what makes something look good. Yeah. Like I think that foundation was already in place. Yeah. And I just needed a subject to start building upon.
Yeah. Mate, can you imagine like a sliding doors moment of Ash Willerton in a little marketing role with your suit on, your shirt and tie on?
I'll have to find some. There'll definitely be some pictures, man. It's so weird to think that was the case.
That's mad. So what was the obviously we could go on and on about like how you got into it, but you've got a lot of great stuff to talk about over the last 5 years. So what was your first actual job where someone paid you money to do some sign writing or some lettering for them?
The first job was for, can you remember the first of the clean eating wave people in Newcastle, 99 they were called.
Yeah.
So that was when like Geordie Shore had just come out, and it was all about broccoli and salmon in a box. And no one was doing that, and like everyone was just getting so pumped off. Like you can get salmon and broccoli and rice, and like they were queuing out. I've not seen queues in Newcastle like that since. Like in the centre of town.
Is that what turned into Nighthawks? Was it that building?
No, it's opposite where Byron is now. So it's
yes,
Queen's Arcade.
Yeah.
Is it Queen's Arcade?
That was your first job. What did you actually do for them?
Well, I got my first paid job with them because when I just started dabbling in lettering after work, I was like, it got to a point where after my day job, I was going home every night, and like Kingsley was saying the other day, like just putting in as many hours as I could when I got home until like my brain wasn't working at optimum levels anymore, and I was just producing crap. But that was my goal. It was like, do work, write some phrases out that I wanted to letter when I got back home, and that was like, I'd go home, and then that's what I'd do. And I was doing that, and it got to a point where I was like, I need a real life project to see, like to give myself a proper test. I need to set myself like a proper brief.
Yeah.
So I was walking home one night, and 99 had just opened, and they've got such an amazing shop front, massive window, and in the corner of the window, like in really tiny writing, it just said gourmet burgers, £5. And I was like, okay, I'll take that content home and see what I can do with it. And at the time, like, it was all about, for me, like, not really having any understanding of what made a good sign in particular. Mm-hmm. It was all about letting people know how many different fonts I could draw by hand. Yeah. And like assemble them in a nice form. Yeah. And so I went home and created a window. Well, it wasn't a window sign even. I just made a nice graphic that said gourmet burgers, £5. And then I thought, right, I'm going to take this in and see what he thinks. I didn't know the guy. I'd never been in to get food or anything. And I took it in the next day after like pacing up and down past the shop, waiting for it to get quiet enough for me to not be a nuisance. Yeah. And be like, I've just done this drawing. So I took it in, and he was like, "Look, that's amazing! Like fan art." And I was like, "Yeah, I do this in my spare time," and I just thought it would be interesting to do set myself a real life project. And he was like, "This is class. Like, can we get it? Can I put it in the shop somewhere?" And we were both looking around, and I was like, "Shall we do it in the window?" And I'd never done anything on glass before. Didn't know how I was going to get it blown up. So that was like, and then all of a sudden I had a totally new challenge. Like lettering was no longer the issue. I was like, fuck, how do I...
We're producing it.
Yeah, how do I do this on a big scale, on a window, in the centre of Newcastle, where there's going to be people watching me, and like, I'm going to have to leave this knowing that like, that's my work in the centre of town. So I was like, I was buzzing, but then I was mega nervous because I was like, well, I don't even know if this is good in the eyes of Newcastle's creative community sort of thing, because like my friends liked what I was doing, and I thought it was cool, but I didn't know if it was really like any good. But one of the best things about that moment as well is I didn't have Instagram, so I wasn't comparing my work to other people's. I had Jessica Hish, and like, she wasn't going to see it. Nah. And I was never going to be as good as her at that point. So I thought it was just a nice moment of just being able to trial something that you were really passionate about, and not having too much pressure.
There's completely nothing to lose from it as well. If you did it and you absolutely stink of a job, it wouldn't matter. It would matter.
I mean, it would have fucking mattered.
It would matter to you, but it wouldn't have mattered to like someone walking past and be like, "Who's done that?" Take a picture, put it on social media, and then people start calling you out. Oh, this guy, I think he's a sign writer. It's rubbish, blah blah blah. But
well, yeah, you're totally right. But at the time, like, it doesn't matter how much experience you've had, how little experience. Like, every job is the most important thing you'll ever do in your life. Yeah. So you put so much like emphasis on like how much this means to you. So, like, looking back, it wouldn't have been that big of a deal if it didn't pan out. I guess it wouldn't have got noticed so much. It's weird because I still get that image referenced in inquiries now, and it's just it's nice. It's real. It's obviously so nice that image is still doing the rounds on Pinterest. But like, my work is just so far away from that now. It's like, it's difficult replying to those emails and be like, thanks for referencing my work, but like,
so what year was this?
That was 2014.
Right, so that must have been just when I came back, because it feels like since
2013.
2013. But what? So it feels like that was your first paid job, and then that's kind of seems to me to
So
have snowballed into a whole world of like your work covering Newcastle. You could do like a Ash Willerton trail, sign writing, spot and trail.
yeah, well, that's the cool thing about Newcastle is like it's so because it's so compact. You are able to what I'm able to walk around and see and go and check like all of my stuff, make sure it's all still looking good and it's holding up. And in bigger cities, that's just not a practical or feasible thing to do.
Nah.
So yeah, so just getting back to 99 quickly, like the first job I did for them was I did that for free.
Yeah.
Because I saw it as a privilege that he was allowing me to just paint on his at the time I was using Posca pens on his window. And then he said, "Oh, can we do another one?" And that's when I did they've got a massive side window, and I lettered that, and I think that was one that got the attention, because then I went all out, like knowing that I could do it. Then that was my time to sort of to shine. And then after that, I was still working for my web design company at that point.
Yeah.
And then a few other places in and around Newcastle caught wind of that window. They were a couple of mates of his who owned bars in Jesmond and in Gosforth, got in touch, wanted similar sorts of things. And then it went a little bit quiet. And then I was putting all my stuff on Behance at this point. And then out of nowhere, got an email from a motion graphics agency in New York called Stardust, who are a really big agency. I didn't know them. I didn't know about them at the time.
Oh.
And they got in touch and wanted a t-shirt design doing. And I was like, fucking hell, I've done like 3 windows.
Yeah.
And then this has got to New York. I can quit my job. I was like, this is it. I can quit my job. And I did that, and then like didn't get another t-shirt design until I think for you. I think that was the next time I did a t-shirt design. But it's nice just remembering those moments.
Yeah.
And thinking how excited I was.
Oh, mate.
At
To me, it's like a good story of doing something, knowing it's not right for you, and then just being determined to try to, instead of just sitting in that little lane for the rest of your life, trying to carve a lane in another area where you haven't even got any qualifications. So it's a brilliant story, and it should be a good kind of inspirational kick up the bum if there's anyone out there listening to this who is doing something that they don't really like and they've always fancied doing something else. It's like, it's possible if you work hard enough. Because it's crazy just seeing even in this short space of time that I've known you, seeing you from doing that first Who's It and What's It window when you were gilding it into like gilding's just a piece of piss for you now, isn't it? But that one time I remember you saying,
I wouldn't say that, but
but I remember at that time, like you were in the window a long period of time and just saying like, oh, it's taking us ages, and it's just
so stressed because I was I was rushing into. I think I rushed into the craft a little bit too quickly, and got a little bit ahead of myself.
Did you have to do much research into like
You're breaking up a little bit, man. I don't know if it's.
It seems all right on my end, but it might be my connection. I think like the whole of the gated areas on the internet. Are you there? Can you hear us? Right. You good, mate?
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
I think I was losing you there. I might be both. I might have shit connection. But if you can hear us, when you started doing those big jobs, did you have to delve back into like the history of sign painting, I guess, and do some real solid research on what had gone before.
Yeah, definitely. It's like, especially for gold leaf stuff, I because at the time there was it felt like there was only a really small group of sign writers on Instagram.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just jumping into different people's feeds and seeing what they were talking about and seeing what books they were mentioning for specific projects they'd been working on, seeing if anyone had like recommended anything.
Yeah.
And I'd asked a question on someone's feed about a gilding project, about like what backup paint to use on gold leaf. And then my really good friend Jack, sign writing Jack, rang me out of the blue. I didn't know him then, and he found my number on the website and rang us and just told me the answer, and I just thought that was the nicest thing you could have possibly done, because it's just like Instagram and Facebook and everything are great, but they can be quite cold methods of communicating, and especially when you're new to the game, you're not really sure like whether you're welcome or not.
I hear that.
And obviously that a lot of that is in your head, and you don't feel worthy because you've not done all the projects and you've not done a proper apprenticeship. So there definitely was an element of that for me. But when I was speaking to Jack, he just allowed me to feel like it was okay to be a beginner.
Yeah.
And he told me what was the best book to buy for learning about gold leaf, and just gave me he just told me to really work on the basics.
Yeah.
And that helped me massively. Instead of like trying to one up myself every project, it was more about like, how can I make the most basic of gold leaf projects look very, very good, before trying to impress for impressing's sake. It was a strange time, because obviously like the progression of my lettering had just gone at such a fast pace.
Mm-hmm.
But I maybe carried that into the craft of sign writing, and that doesn't work.
No.
It doesn't work like that. You really do have to slow down. It was like hitting a brick wall and being like, right, okay, I can't go this fast.
From my experience of like when I was in the industry and being around the industry for a long time, I wouldn't often see so I might see people doing like custom letter forms, form and shapes, like the Art Is Our Weapon one that you did, but I wouldn't very rarely see the same people that are doing those in paint and signs, or then gold leaf and things like that. So at that time, I felt like it was, the sign writing world was a different, just from my experience, I felt like it was a different world to that sort of custom type. So it was exciting when I met you and saw you were doing the same, those things, but kind of merging them together as well. Because I think when you have like traditional sign writing, I just think of like old guys in fucking overalls up ladders painting like butchers signs and stuff, which I guess is probably what it was back in the days.
Well, you only don't think like that now because you know me.
Yeah. Well, yeah, you and some of the people I've met.
And you know the people that do it because I've told you about them.
Yeah.
So like most people, I'd say most people still do have that impression. And it's only when they get introduced to it by someone, then it's all of a sudden like, whoa, this happens. Like this is a craft that young people are doing. And there's a lot of really talented young artists out there doing it now. It's like,
oh mate, there's even just like you showing us and then seeing other people other people's feeds. It's some incredible people doing some incredible stuff, and even
Yeah.
people doing like illustration stuff. But Gold Gilded, like the I got a name off the top of my head, but is it Alex Mayhew's? That
Alex Mayhew, yeah.
Painted in the gold leafing, which is it's bonkers. But yeah, so there's 25 minutes left, mate. So we could just talk about lots of stuff, and the time will just evaporate.
Yeah, I feel like I've not like directly answered any of your questions. It's just like I've got to a certain point, and then it never actually got answered.
Oh mate, it's hard because I'm just trying to get as much information that'll inspire people. But
you've caught the sun today, man.
Oh mate, I've caught the sun loads. Like
you are tan.
Proper Ron Seal Ronnie.
You need to get some cream on that, Al.
Do you know what? I've been wearing sun cream. I put sun cream on.
No,
and then
you need to get some after sun on it.
Oh yeah, I've got some moisturizer on. It'll die back down tomorrow again. The joys of dog walking in tropical Gateshead.
Yeah, it's been lush today, hasn't it?
Mate, it's been beautiful. I think this lockdown would have been a lot harder if it wasn't sunny.
Oh yeah, incredibly. So like, there's never a good time to be experiencing this. But imagine, man, if this just happened.
Yeah, it'll be brutal. But just quickly about I know if there's anything that you've spoken about prior that anyone wants to go into a little bit more information with you, I'm sure that they can drop you a message on Instagram or.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
A bit of help, but I'm just like interested, like seeing the journey of like getting into it, throwing yourself into like learning into like deep situations. Like, right, I'm doing a big goal leaf win for the first time. I'm painting stuff for a client that's paying me money for the first time. And the journey that I've seen you go on to do, like you've been to like painting in Barcelona with the Off guys. That was that a year ago, 2 years ago? That was incredible.
Yeah, that was 2 years ago, yeah.
You've been to Letterheads in Tokyo, is that right?
Tokyo. I've been to the last one was in Tokyo, and then it was before that London, Oslo, and Amsterdam are the ones I've been to.
Bonkers. So who would have thought, like when you first found like Jessica Hish's work, that there was this whole world in your future that it was going to open up?
Yeah, that's a really big thing to think about. It's because I didn't know any of this existed. Not so long back. So it's just created such an interesting new landscape for me to be a part of. Like,
yeah.
But I obviously look at the world through different eyes now. Like,
yeah,
I don't do the same things as I used to do when I was a web designer. I feel like through quitting my job, like understanding what that took psychologically.
Yeah.
That like really like gave me a strength to do other things like of similar weight.
Yeah.
So I, as soon as I did that and realized that it was okay, then I was in a better position to then try something like that again.
Yeah.
And risks now are a part of like everyday experiments.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I accept them as that. Like it might work, it might not, and that's every job. That's the nature of every job, because I can't undo stuff like I did when I was a web designer. There is no Control Alt Delete. So like every job does have an element of like, fuck, I've got to do this. I've got a certain amount of hours in the day, like daylight time when I'm up a ladder, and I've also got to present myself as someone that really knows what they're doing.
Yeah.
And like because projecting that confidence to a client is half the job.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, because you've painted on a lot of different surfaces since I've known you, obviously. Like, what was that project you did probably a couple of years ago? Did you have to go to Bristol and paint like giant beer? Was it like beer brewing? Was it like lager?
Oh, the Budvar.
Yeah, the Budvar one. So is that one of the biggest sort of scale pieces you've done to date? Because that must have been intimidating to tackle that from not
Are you
doing
talking about the Portobello Road gym one, or the?
Oh no, yeah, that one as well. That was insane. It was the one where you were painting on tanks.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So that was. Yeah.
Beer tanks.
Yeah. So that was for Budvar, and they have like enormous beer tanks in certain pubs now, and like a load of different beer companies have them now on display to like say that they're the main beer supplier there.
Yeah.
And they wanted their logos all hand painted.
Wow.
And in the end, it turned out to be kind of unfeasible for me to be doing them as regularly as they were being installed.
Yeah.
But I think I did around 30 across the country, maybe.
That's insane.
And yeah, that was a really cool job. But it also got to the point where I don't want to be just painting the same logo over and over and over again. So it was an amazing opportunity, and like it was a fun thing to do because of the style they wanted it. So they wanted it to be aged and to look really authentically old. So it was a nice way to experiment with that technique.
So that was a project that you said you enjoyed, and it was a big one. But you mentioned as well the Portobello Gin one. That was like that. What was that, like a 3 or 4 story building in London, like a pub?
I don't know how many stories it is. It was like 5 levels of scaffolding. I think the sign itself was maybe 8 meters high by 2 meters. Yeah. 8 by 2, yeah. And that's 100% the biggest project that I've ever done. I did that with my friend Jack.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was an opportunity that only came about because we both got recommended to do the job from our friend, an amazing glass gilding artist, Dave Smith.
Mm-hmm.
And he'd done lots of work for Portobello Road previously, and he'd actually been asked to do the job, but he doesn't do that type of outdoor enormous scale stuff anymore. Yeah. He focuses mainly on glass. So he knew that me and Jack would be well up for giving it a go, and it was one of those jobs that if I got now, I think I'd be way more nervous.
Right.
Doing I think it was like ignorance is bliss sort of thing. Like we didn't really know what to expect from the job, and I think we were more grateful that we were getting the opportunity to do it. Yeah. And there wasn't that much time from getting asked to do it to doing it, so it wasn't a lot of time to really think how big it was going to be. But that's the biggest thing I did with him, and then on my own kiln in Newcastle was the biggest scale job.
So what are some of your favourite projects that you've done over the last few years?
All my stuff for AnyForty.
Yeah. On screen.
No, like seriously, man. Like you've sent me some of the most interesting and challenging briefs, and like I have really enjoyed like all of our like collaborations, and I hope we do more. Like it's always nice for me to get back into that that aspect of my work, which obviously I really love doing and don't get the opportunity to do all the time. So as soon as you come along with a brief, I'm like, let's do it.
I know.
Get it done.
The game, because it's been a little while, hasn't it? I think the last thing we did was the Refix logo with the big fat letters.
Yeah.
Got a sticker sheet.
Yeah, I love doing that one.
I thought I had it on a sticker sheet. And then obviously in the background, that Coliseum, when we set up that brand with
Yeah.
Adventures.
Yeah. Flanked by my my graphics.
It's a professional setup here, man. Anytime I do an interview, I have things at hand that the artist's done. So we've got your stuff on screen. We've obviously got
yeah, man, yeah.
Gillian in there. We've got like the monogram, the AF monogram there.
Yeah, I like that one.
Coliseum in the background. Professional setup, man. No shit going on around here.
We're on a tight ship, Al.
So mate,
but yeah, you were saying like what's the like the thing I'm most proud of?
Yeah.
Kiln is definitely up there. Like I'm really proud of how that one came out, and because it's such a big sign, and I had the opportunity to design it all myself and figure out how I was going to do it, choose colorways, and it was a really nice process with the client, figuring out what we really wanted to get out, what he wanted to get out of it, and like how we could achieve that. And he's like mega stoked with it, and I'm still, because it's one of my favorite places to go. If not my favorite place in Newcastle, it's just mega proud to walk underneath that massive sign.
I think it's the position of the building as well. How it's
it's
obviously
you can see it from
a big piece, but there's nothing in front of it. There's a massive road in front of it, so you can see it from miles away. You see it on a corner. Like any of my old creative friends from down south, whenever they come up to see it, are just like blown away. Incredible. But you've done a lot of work in the kind of, I guess they call it hospitality industry, is it? Like what is it? Hospitality? The food industry. But the stuff you've done for Barrio as well recently in
Barrio, that's one of my favourites as well.
Durham. Yeah, if anyone's ever in the north, definitely check it out. I do think we need to make a little map, a little creative Ash Willerton trail. You've got to go to places and see your work, and then have like a pint in each one.
You can only do that when I'm not here anymore. Like it doesn't work while I'm still here.
Okay, we'll wait for that day.
Yeah, you have as soon as I pop my clogs, you have my permission to go full throttle on that idea. But
it'll be like that lady that lives in Sunderland. What is it? The Catherine Cookson. Oh, there's like a Catherine Cookson trail.
Yeah.
That's what we'll have to do.
Fucking hell. Yeah, imagine if that was the case, then I'd be looking down a proud man.
Mate, it's like we've spoke about as well, like when we've been to cities, like me and you have been to Barcelona numerous times for off. But even like when we've been to London and looking at the ghost signs, I'm almost like wishing I could be here in like 100 years' time to see how some of these signs that you've done age and how they're going to look with fucking hover cars flying past them.
Well, yeah, but that's the thing. Like, if they do get to that point, because like the turnaround of businesses is a lot higher now. So, and people aren't obviously as precious about new signs as they are historical.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think the work that does have the best chance of surviving is my door numbers.
Oh yeah.
And names and possibly like stuff like Kiln, maybe, but like if someone in the future like goes like takes on that premises, I don't know. I don't know. What would they keep that sign?
That's it. Well, it'll be a lot of work removing it, but yeah, if you.
I mean, I think they'd paint over it unless it becomes a like a listed piece.
Well, that's interesting. That you mentioned getting onto the so like all people have to do if any of the AnyForty people like aren't super familiar, anyone who's come on board like in the last year or two with your work, all you've got to do is look on your Instagram, scroll through and see all the stuff you do. You do everything from custom lettering for clothing brands like Yonder, the surf company, obviously AnyForty, into doing things like the branding, do branding projects for people. You do interior art for the likes of barrio signage, but then you also do these like premium luxury signs for people's houses, don't you? In number, which is
Yeah,
mad. I'm conscious about asking a question that's too long because we've only got 10 minutes left. But
I'll be
there's
concise then.
yeah, let's jump into it. How did that come around? The actual
What big the residential stuff?
yeah, yeah. Because surely that wouldn't be someone walking through town seeing like a signage for
Well,
the
no,
window in the shop and then
I tell you what happened. I gilded my flat in Shields when I lived on the coast as an experiment,
right.
and I put that on my Instagram. And after I'd been doing a few other, like it was after I'd become comfortable with gilding, someone found that number and was like, I didn't realize that you did house numbers.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, I haven't. I've done mine, but I'm definitely up for doing it. And they're some of the best projects I get to date because it's such a personal job to do for someone, and it's so nice to know that that person is like really sort out exactly what they want. It's not like we just need a number. Can you come and do it tomorrow? It's like they've really sorted out what they want, and they have really taken their time to decide that they want to have a premium version of a house number or name. So it's like it means a lot to that client. It's not just like this just means the postman knows where I am.
And how wonderful is that? Because it's like you've got to think like every time that person comes home, they'll be looking at it and just going, "I love that. Like this is where I live. I love that."
I mean, yeah. What a nice thing. If that is, I hope that is the case, and like all the families that I've worked for have been amazing, and it's just so nice to be welcomed into someone's house and treated as a friend instantly. And
definitely,
it's
people need to jump onto your Instagram and watch that video. You posted a video recently that the client took of you doing the name of a house.
Yeah,
a bit more of an insight into how you've done it.
Yeah, Caroline, but that was the last house name I did. She filmed the whole process and took loads of pictures of it, and she did an amazing job of creating a concise video that really shows that process in detail, which is it's a really hard thing to do, to show that process.
Yeah.
Because there's so many different elements involved, and people are always asking like how do you get that to look like that, and like well, would you like cut around the edge? So it's although it doesn't go into mega detail, it gives you a nice glimpse into like what's involved. Yeah, I think some people do think it maybe takes half an hour.
Yeah.
So it's good that you can really see the time. Yeah.
So that's something that after this is finished, people should jump on your Instagram and watch that, because it really is a special video. I don't think we're not going to have any time for any questions, but no one's asked any yet. But a quick one. So where like your career is obviously, it's progressed really well, and to me it feels like it's progressed quite quickly in the last few years. Where do you see it going in the future? What would you like to do? What projects would you like to do? What clients would you like to work for? Or
I don't really know. I don't really have ambitions in that sense of if I work for this level of client, then I've ticked off something.
Yeah.
Because like the way I see it, like the house numbers to me are just as important and as interesting jobs as working for a well-known company.
Yes.
And like, if not more rewarding, because I'm getting to actually speak to the person who wants the job doing. I'm not having to go through loads of different people. So like my main ambition is to keep the variety of work that I have at the moment.
Yeah.
Keep that in the abundance that it is. I don't just want to do one thing, and I feel really privileged that I get to do commercial lettering, but I get to do gilded house numbers, but I get to do massive wall signs. It's like, it's that variety that like keeps the job so interesting, and me so motivated and interested in constantly learning as well. I never feel like, right, I've sussed that now. I can turn those jobs around really quickly. I'm always sort of fighting.
Amazing. So you've done a little bit of like teaching as well, haven't you? You've run a few little courses for at the Baltic. Is it for like local schools and stuff? Is that something that you've enjoyed?
Yeah, that's something that I've been doing more recently. I did a workshop at the Baltic for Careers Day, and I did a talk for Careers Day the year before. And I've done a talk at a local school at the coast. But that's definitely something that I've wanted to do for a while, but felt like I hadn't really had the confidence and the experience to really give that information, like to pass that information on how I really wanted to. I didn't just want to like go in like after a year of doing it and be like, and not really be able to answer people's questions thoroughly, or not really know what the job involves. So I feel like 6 years into it, I feel like I'm in a better position now to really understand what it takes to be self-employed and do and have a creative job in that field. And I feel it's really important for kids to and young adults to be aware of what it takes.
Oh, mate,
as well as all of the great things that comes along with it. But it's like, I think I would have really benefited from having that advice at that age.
Mate, I would have as well. I bet all these young little minds that are yet to be formed, like seeing that someone can do something like you do for a living, fucking mind blowing.
I hope so. And like, regardless of whether they do what I do, that's not the point. Like, I think one of my biggest inspirations to encourage me to leave my job. She was an artist, but she wasn't a lettering artist. Name's Elle Luna, and I was reading an article about her on The Great Discontent.
Yes,
and she just massively inspired me to believe that if I quit my job with a comfortable salary and I really wanted to make something happen, I'd make it happen.
Yeah, I think.
And if it didn't like go all the way, then it doesn't go all the way, and you figure something else out. So it's just like, if I can make someone think differently to what is prescribed for students at the moment, where you're like, you get your GCSEs, you go to university, and then you get a job in this or this, then happy days.
I'll tell you what, mate, Instagram's got a habit of just kicking you off when you get to an hour, so
are you only allowed 1 hour? Is that correct?
On the very first one we did, it got to an hour and it just binned off. So then
we'll do it. We'll leave professionally then.
Yeah, we'll leave it like that. And like we say, we never got a chance for anyone to ask any questions. So if anyone's got any questions that they'd like to ask, hit you on Instagram. Just ask. Is that right?
What?
Yeah.
Fire any questions at me, and I'll do my best to answer.
Perfect. Well, thank you very much for your time, mate. I'm sure that talk would have inspired a lot of people, and it's always interesting to hear your journey as well. It inspires me. So happy days.
Cheers, man. Well, you are appreciated, mate. I appreciate it.